So I'm talking about personal finances right now. I'll go on and do another session or two on ministry finances. But what are the keys to breaking through? Maybe you've already broken through, but I know a lot of younger YWAMers, well, YWAMers of all ages, who would love to see a breakthrough in their personal finances. And I, I'm going to tell you what the three things I mentioned in the previous session, a little bit more about those. And I want you to ask, what are the keys to your breakthrough? They may not be the same as mine, but mine are pretty typical in general, so they might help you. So I talked about generosity, accountability, and communications. Well, we started with the communications thing. We started doing much more consistent newsletters, prayer letters, trying to make them as informative and honest and no hype. You know, when we struggled, we said we're struggling. When it wasn't working, we said it wasn't working. So people felt that they weren't supporting a successful ministry, but they were connecting with real people going through the battles of life. And Marty was really good at writing personal notes on the bottoms of all those newsletters. So we just connected. And by newsletters, you know, we didn't have a lot of people who wanted to hear from us, but the couple dozen who did, we communicated with well. And then what happened was more people wanted to hear, and that built. And I've continued to do that over the years. Marty quit doing those very regular newsletters with me, and I started doing them rather with Terry and Lydia in my office. But I still send out a monthly update on what's happening and what my schedule will be for the next month. And we're asking for prayer. We hardly ever, I think maybe only once in our lives, we've asked people to pray about supporting us. You know, that's the way it worked for us. But out of that regular prayer, people began to support us. It was not instantaneous. One of the problems we have is we run into financial difficulties, and we try to take the quick way out. One of the ways we sometimes do that is we put a credit card down. Of course, a credit card then transfers that money, which may have been something you wanted or even needed, but it becomes an obligation. And obligations mean you have no choice. You have to pay. And I've seen YWAMers who have had to quit and go try to earn some money because they put credit cards down on things, and the credit card debt built and built until they had to stop and take drastic action. So first thing we do is communicate, and we don't take the easy way out. Communicating does not provide an immediate answer, so you sow long-term into it. And then answers will come. Second thing was about accountability. Marty was always good at keeping accounts and keeping our books up to date. But we started being more careful about that. And we analyzed how much did we spend on clothing, how much on food, how much on housing, how much on entertaining other people, hospitality, and all those things, transportation. And we analyzed that, and we began to be accountable to a group of people inside and outside of YWAM who could look at our lifestyle and look at our finances, and we could be accountable to them. Now, out of that, some began to support us as well. And that's been such a blessing. That group is now about 35 years old. You know, it's had people come and go. Nobody's left except by passing away and going on to their reward. But we've had 4 of our members do that, and then new people come on. But that group has been such a godsend to us. They've stood with us. They know about our family. They know about our schedule. They know about our finances. They know what we spend on what. And they can hold us accountable. So I think that kind of transparency in finances is really, really helpful. And then there's the question of generosity. Sometimes just our lifestyle about being in missions and trusting God for finances means that we get into a receiving mentality. And you know, if you're in a receiving mentality, if you meet somebody who seems to have some wealth, and you immediately think of them as a potential supporter. If you're a giver and your mode is generosity, then you will relate to people without thinking of them as supporters or potential supporters. How do you get there? Well, I wasn't there for sure. But what happened is a friend, co-leader while I'm in England, Barry, spoke to us about how God had dealt with them, about increasing their percentage of giving. We'd always been tithers, but we were already spoken to by Barry's story, and we began to tithe not 10%, but give 15% first fruits out of all we received. And then a little more, and a little more, and a little more, until it grew to where we were giving away, after 3 or 4 years, a lot more money than we'd ever seen come in. And now that I look back on that period of time, it's many years ago now, but with the accountability and the generosity and the communications in place, over a period of 2 to 3 years, without us trying to raise money, people began to support us on a regular basis. It was remarkable. And from that time, we've not had crises in our personal finances. I can't promise that to anybody or everybody. That's just our story. But I think many, many more could have that story, and God wants them to have that kind of story, where the finances are not a pressure. You've learned to live simply and wisely. You've learned not to spend unnecessarily. You've learned not to put credit cards down and just get what you want. You're a good steward. And then God does what Paul said he would promise to the believers in Philippi, that God will supply all of your needs and enough more beyond that so you have money to give away. And that's our story. It's a great joy to have developed a lifestyle and a relationship with God that enables us to be givers, not receivers. So those are some keys to our breakthroughs, and those stories might help you look at your situation and help you also to think, what's God saying about me breaking through? Because I think he wants us all to come to a place where our personal finances are, well, just an ongoing result of his fatherly care for us.